Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich. And today we're going to talk about something that I could geek out on for hours. Honestly, I love a task list. I love a productivity app. I love tracking my habits. I could geek out on this for hours. And this conversation came up because somebody had asked me, how do you get so much done? And how are you so productive and able to just continue to move through life when things pop up? And I thought about it because initially, I don't know. I just do it. And then I thought more about it and I realized that the reason that I am able to get so much done and feel good and be able to balance life is I have systems. Just like a business has systems of onboarding an employee or payroll has a system, the way you do anything, there's a system to it. And one of the things about my system is I have tools. It's not just me remembering things all the time. I have specific tools I use, whether they're with clients or they're on my own or they're for the business. And I noticed that when I don't use those systems and I kind of take a break or a hiatus, life is chaotic. My brain hurts to even think about what I need to be doing. But I have certain tools in place that allow me to do these things kind of effortlessly. Yes, there's still work to get the work done and to do the thing, but the space in my brain is not being taken up with the to-do list itself. That has gone into a system. So today we're going to talk about some of my favorite systems when it comes to habit tracking, productivity, why it's important, why our brain likes it, what it does for it. And then I'm just going to kind of share some of my favorite little tips. And if you want a deep dive into any of these tools or you want to work together and actually implement these tools, at any point, feel free to send me an email, morgan@getfitwithme-morganekovich.com, subject line system, and we will follow up. We will create a system for your life so that all the things are not just buzzing around in your head all the time. Let's gain some clarity and move the needle forward. So let's get started. I love this. So internal satisfaction comes from our brain's reward system, which releases the feel-good neurotransmitter called dopamine. So when we create a task list and we mark off, for instance, in the morning, let's say on your task list you have make bed and you mark it off, that satisfaction of either clicking it and having it go away or actually putting a line through it, whatever it looks like, our brain releases dopamine because it's such a good feeling we have for, look at what I just accomplished. So a lot of times we don't track things because it seems like a lot of work. It seems like it takes too much time and what's the point? We're going to talk about some of the points here, but there is benefit to it. It reinforces the behavior that creates a powerful loop that will boost our motivation, reduce our stress, and will help foster the sense of accomplishment. So before we even dive in any deeper into the benefits of this, first off, if you don't have some sort of task list or habit list or productivity system where you can manage what you are working on and be able to cross it off and say you did the damn thing, you are missing out on a huge dopamine hit instantly. I've always been a pen and paper person, but all of my systems are digital because they need to go where I go. I do not always carry this notebook with me. But when we are getting ready to go on vacation or leave for a long weekend, whatever that looks like, I write a list and I put it on the counter. And as we do things, we cross off the things we did. And I will even put things on the list after I did it just so I can cross it off because I want that dopamine hit that is so quick. And I'm like, yeah, look at that. Look what I just accomplished. So when we have a list, whether it's a digital list or it's an actual physical list, what we do is by having that list and knowing what we are doing, we create a sense of control. We feel like I know where I'm putting my time and my energy. I know what I need to do. It is all things that you control. So what that does is it makes us feel good, especially in those times when we don't feel like we are in control of anything or we can't be in control of anything. For some of you, it may be when you're in the car with other people and you are a control freak and you are a terrible passenger princess. But what can you control? You can control what you do to occupy your time. You can control what you eat, what you drink. There's so many things you can control in that moment if you cannot control the physical situation. I think that also just comes in relationships in general. That having something that is yours, that you know you are in control of, is huge. And a task list, that is yours. And I love it. What this also does is it helps us visualize the progress we are making. So in My Coach, which when we work together, we use an app called My Coach, which you can't just download and use on your own. The goal of the app is for you and I to work together and to create your actions of what are you going to do today? And you mark it off as done or not done. And what this does is it allows that visual representation of you did the thing. The day's green, the day's green, the day's green. You didn't do the thing. Okay, that action is red, but the whole day is a yellow because you did all the other. So we start to see this visual representation of maybe where some of these holes are coming up in our health and wellness. For a lot of clients, when we start is we're really good. Monday through Friday, we're all greens, and then Saturday, Sundays are usually yellows or reds. Well, why is that? It's because we have not actually built a lifestyle around our life. We have built like a typical 9-to-5 lifestyle. But that's not how life works. We have weekends. We will always have weekends. So it's important that we are able to create these greens and these yellows more in a systematic way of, well, it's not just red on weekends. Like, no, we have flexibility throughout the week. When things don't happen, it's not the end of the world. But when we see these greens and we see these patterns, we actually get to visualize all the things we've been doing and what the future can look like. So it helps with that visualization process. So Dr. Zeigarnik, there's actually an effect called the Zeigarnik effect, which essentially is it is easier for us to remember unfinished tasks. So you can go look it up, but as I was kind of researching this a little bit, and it made so much sense. So the Zeigarnik effect is we tend to remember the tasks that we don't finish. All of those things that we have to do that are sitting above our head of like, I got to call the doctor, I got to go grocery shopping, I got to go to a workout, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. All of those things in all areas of our life. So what happens though is when we start to actually create a task list and mark things off, get things out of our head and onto paper, we start to reduce that mental clutter. We start to feel less anxious. Our stress tends to be lower. This then allows our brain to take a break from holding that burden that we are hanging on to. And it is so crazy to think that if you've never actually done this, I highly recommend doing this for a couple days just to even try it out. And your system is going to be dialed in over time. I'm not saying the system I'm teaching you is the system that's going to work for you, but it works for me and it works for almost all of my clients. That being said, we do have to make little tweaks because we are all different and our lives are different and how we learn and how we like to cross things off changes. So keeping some of that in mind, I like to think about, okay, what are those things that I've been hanging on to for so long? And I've talked about this in a sleep episode of you may not always be able to get to that task list, but if you've got a notepad and pen next to your bedside, and you've got all of the thoughts running around in your head and you're like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. I know that feeling. Put a notepad next to your bed and literally just word vomit it all. And then the next morning, you can actually put it in your task list. There's a few reasons here. So the reason that I don't do a digital task list next to the bed is I have officially gotten the phone out of the bedroom. It is now charging somewhere else in the house, and I've got a real alarm clock. And it's been really nice to be able to just do a word search at night and to have a little brain dump piece of paper if something pops into my head that I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to think about that all night. I want to actually relax my brain, write it down, and then I'll worry about it in the morning. The other nice part about this is when we have things on pen and paper, people tend to have 12 notebooks, 7 sticky notes, a little piece of scrap paper here, the back of your kid's artwork here, of all the shit you need to do. And like, that's fine, you got it out of your head, but what tends to happen is we have the same task listed on multiple different sheets, which essentially is just creating more overwhelm for yourself because it looks like you have 12 tasks when in reality you have one. You just wrote it 12 times because you really know you need to do it, but you keep avoiding it. So as you are creating this, I love a brain dump at the end of the night on a piece of paper, but it always goes to something digital. I have a master task list, and I'm talking about this specifically, not health and wellness related, but for those physical tasks like call the doctor, get this work thing done, do this work thing, switch the laundry, like those things that are always rolling around in our brain. It's just a task list. Easy peasy. And I love it digital because I can make it reoccurring. So in the show notes, I've added a link to ClickUp, which is my absolute favorite productivity and time management tool. Like, I have tried a variety of them throughout the years, and this is the only one that has been super intuitive to use. It's not overly complicated. I have an app on my phone. I have an app on both my phones that I can access at any time. It shows up on my desktop. I can add tasks. I have clients, whether they're moms or they're business owners, wherever they're using it. And we're all using it a little bit differently. Some of them are using it for the entire everything. Some people are using it for business only. Some people are using it where they've got folders. So these are business only tasks. These are family tasks. There's so many different ways to customize this, but the end goal is it is one tool that everything is going to that you can also make tasks reoccurring. So for instance, one of the things that I have reoccurring on my task list for work is to check in on my coach messages. So those are all my client messages back and forth. Yes, I know I'm going to do that every day, but I put it on the list so I don't have to think about the next morning when I wake up what I'm going to do. It's just there. And I mark it off, and then it goes till tomorrow. So when I open it up, there it is again. And like I said, I will put things on the list that I am already doing because of that dopamine hit I get from marking things off. It feels so good to be like, wow, look what I accomplished today. Even on days when I feel like I accomplished nothing, with a task list, I know I accomplished things. So that's some of that right there and why we need to be doing it and why a digital one is honestly so helpful in that sense. And so we already talked about this a little bit. It helps reduce that stress and anxiety. Think about all those things, thoughts and feelings in your brain. And if we can get them on pen and paper, which is not always my favorite, but sometimes that's where we put them. But if we can get them in a system where they can just be there and we can create due dates or deadlines or when they need to go, you will be so much more successful. You will feel so much better and you will just be able to exhale. The other thing is celebrating our wins. So essentially every single time we mark something off on that list, that is a win. We are so easily caught in a win being something big and extravagant. And when we work together, we focus on a win being you drank your water. You ate a vegetable. You made sure to have protein at each meal. And those may not seem big to a lot of you, but really they should all seem big. And it's funny because at some point you would think, I've been doing this for a long time and I've been doing this for myself for a long time. At some point I would get sick of like making sure I drank water as like being a win. I don't. I love when I hit my water goal. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, yeah, look at that. Look what I'm doing for my health today. That is a win. So we're making sure we are celebrating our wins along the way. And essentially each list we have and each thing we mark off is just another win that we get to add to that category, reframing our mindset. If you haven't listened to episode 2 or you haven't read the book, The Gap and the Gain, I will also put a link to that in the show notes. Highly, highly, highly recommend that book. It's all about looking back at how far we've come, celebrating those wins instead of focusing on how far we still have to go. So I've just shared why we need to be doing this. The next thing that we're going to dive into is my 3 favorite tools. So I have 3 of them, and I have a rhyme and reason for every single one. 2 of them are very similar. One of them is completely different, and I've already talked about it. So let's start with ClickUp. ClickUp is a productivity and time management tool that works for literally everybody. It will work for the busy mom, all the way to the busy professional, all the way to that retiree who's just trying to figure out what to do with their time. Like, it will work for everybody. It can be used on multiple devices. The link to it is in the show notes. I love it because I can create reoccurring actions. So for instance, checking email, checking Telegram, getting back to doing my coach messages, those are reoccurring. Those are things that I don't want to have to think about. And before I had the system, I was literally writing today's date and those things every single freaking day. And it was taking me longer to create my task list for the day than it was for me to actually go ahead and do the things. It was just causing me to procrastinate the things that I know I needed to do. So by having an automated system that when you are done with it, you set it up for reoccurring, it just moves it to the next day. It is a game changer. It's also really great for those one-off things that you do like once a month. So I'm sharing this on the business perspective because this is what I do. And this is where I use the tool the most. But I can use it for my personal, like paying the credit cards. If I'm somebody who pays my credit card and it's not on reoccurring, I put that in there for a few days before. My quarterly taxes are in there about a week before as like my reminder of like, hey, get on and pay them digitally or write the check and send it. Things that you don't do on a consistent basis, but float around in your head that you don't want to forget, fantastic things to put on there. You set a due date and you can make it reoccurring every quarter, every Friday, every 6 months, whatever that is. Maybe for you, it's clearing out the kids' old clothes. And you're doing that on a quarterly basis. You're pulling everything out, you're pulling out all the small stuff, and you're figuring out what you need for the next season. Can look different for everybody. So ClickUp, number 1 tool, check it out in the show notes. Remember, you can send me a message at any point with the subject line system. And my email is morgan@getfitwithme-morganekovich.com. Okay, the other 2 tools that I love is My Coach. So My Coach is that app that I talked about earlier, where when we work together is an accountability app. So in there, you and I are able to message back and forth. We work together to create your actions, to mark them as done and not done, to put your workouts in, to be able to track your nutrition, to track your metrics, all of those things. But the main thing is about habit tracking and habit stacking. So for many of my clients, before we make changes to your nutrition, actually all of my clients, we do a food log. So your first week typically is drinking X amount of water and food logging every single day. And we can then see what is working, what is not, what days you missed. You mark them as done and not done. So when we work together in My Coach, what this looks like is we create those actions. You get really good at habit stacking, creating habits. And remember, it takes longer than 21 days. So we have to get used to doing these things on a regular basis. I was using My Coach for the longest time, but it's really meant for coach to client. And yes, I'm my own coach in a sense, but I really just needed something for me to mark off. Yep, I did my water. Yep, I did this. I didn't need the whole management of profile. So I found another app called Habit. It's completely free. You can find it on the App Store, whether it's Apple or Google or I don't know what other phones are out there these days, but you can find it on there. It's just called Habit, and you do have to set it up. There is no accountability. It's you checking in, you having to remember to check in, all of that. So very self-led, self-directed. If you are somebody who would like to see what My Coach looks like, you can check out our 21-day Control Your Day challenge. It's completely free. The link is in the show notes. And in there, you are given 7 actions. And in that challenge, you are given X amount of actions to complete every day for the next 21 days. What this does is, if you think back to last week's episode, it really gets you good at showing up to do the dang thing when you don't want to. What it also does is it gets you familiar with tracking and being able to say, I did the thing or I did not do the thing, and getting radically invested and really looking at what is happening and what is not. Because it's really easy for us to say, oh, I didn't do anything, or oh, I did it, when really we didn't. So my coach is honestly my favorite. So if you are looking to test that out, check out our 21-day Control Your Day challenge. If you just want coaching and you're like, Morgan, I need help, I need the accountability, I need you to check in on me, we need to look at my nutrition, we need to set up my workouts, that right there is where you're going to send me an email with the word coaching. And I'm going to reach out and I'm going to talk to you about our 90-day Kickstart program as well as our 100% for you program. Both of those are 100% customized to you, built for you, and nothing is the same as anybody else. There are similarities, but like, you're your own individual, and that is what we are focusing on, is you and your life and your lifestyle. So when we are looking at that, typically when clients are done with, they're like, Morgan, I don't feel like I need the accountability anymore, I feel like I've built these habits, that is when I recommend the Habit app, is because I do want them to continue to track their habits. And currently I'm like on a 40-day streak of drinking my water. Like, super freaking cool every day. And it does this little chime. It does this, like, it turns it green and does this little chime. And it's like a little dopamine hit. And yeah, I checked my water. Look at me. For some of you who are listening, you may remember this. I had a Tamagotchi growing up, if you remember that. And if you remember those little things. And I thought it was funny. I saw a post and it's like, really, as adults, we become our own Tamagotchis, trying to keep it alive, feeding it, bathing it, getting enough water, going for exercise. Like, those little things we tried to keep alive with our thumbs, we are now doing in real life. And part of the reason that we are not successful is we're not going in and spending the time. We're not going in and we're not tracking it. We are just kind of willy-nilly going through and hoping the things are going to happen. Like, I was talking to one of my girlfriends and she's like, I'm not doing anything, but I feel the best that I've felt in freaking years. And she's like, I'm just drinking the water. I'm just eating the food. I'm cooking at home more. I'm exercising. I'm walking. She goes, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not doing any diets. I'm not training for any races. I'm not pushing intensity high. She goes, I feel the best I've felt in years. And I'm like, I love that, because that is a testament to what happens when we show up and we stop focusing on the number on the scale or the weight loss or a certain size or whatever it is. If we just start doing the things and get consistent with them and start showing up for ourselves, we are going to feel better. We are going to start feeling like the best versions of ourselves, no matter all those other things. And it is good to have goals. I'm not telling us not to have goals, but sometimes we get so focused on the end goal that we don't even realize if we're doing the things that are going to get us to the end goal. And having a task list, having our actions that we are focusing on every single day, and be able to show up and cross them off is key to success in all areas of life. That is how I show up, and I am able to do 1,000 things, and I'm able to do them successfully, and I'm able to not feel burned out. Don't get me wrong. Do I love my Sundays on the couch completely vegged out? Absolutely. But like, that's also part of what I worked into my life. That's what I want to be able to do. So knowing all of that, I want you to take away from today of, do you have a task list? If so, is it a bunch of piece of papers all over your life? If so, I really, really highly recommend you go to the show notes, download ClickUp. There is a little bit of a learning curve, just like with any tech. Also, if you download that Habit app or we work together in My Coach, there's a little bit of a learning curve because you're trying something new. But do not let that learning curve hold you back from trying it. The other thing is, you can download the tool, but if you don't use it, it's not going to work. It's not going to do it for you. So you have to continue to use it. So give it some time. Remember, you can send me an email with the word system, and we can actually get on a call and we can talk through some of it. And if I get enough of you wanting to learn the system to ClickUp, I can do a full video showing you how to set it up, how to work your way through, and all of that. That I'm more than happy to, if I get enough of you to respond back with the word system at morgan@getfitwithme-morganekovich.com. So, like I said, I could sit here and talk and geek out on this for hours. I love time management. I love productivity. I love organization. There's times where I wonder if I have time for another job to be able to do this. And then I'm like, no, we just incorporate into health and fitness and I get to do a little bit of all the things I love. So knowing that, remember, send me an email with either coaching if you want to learn how I can help you either with our 90-day kickstart or our 100% for you program, or send me an email with the word system and we can set up a system that works for you, whether it's ClickUp, Habit, or My Coach. So with that, I will see you all next time. Have a fantastic Thursday. I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with actionable tips. Remember, your journey to becoming the strongest, most confident version of yourself is just beginning. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join our community of empowered women. Until next time, stay strong and stay confident.